Hello, this is Cattail. I'm going to be keeping this episode pretty short, mostly because, well, it's pretty late where I am right now, and I would like to go to bed soon. But first, we're going to have a quick discussion about PvZ2's plant, zombie, and power-up design. If you can't tell, I actually recorded this before, but well, apparently I'm bad at remembering to toggle off certain things, so here we are. I have to talk about it a second time, which is going to be better for me because I'll be able to get my points across more clearly. And I'm going to make this video a lot shorter as well. So, in short, the plant design compared to the first game is a lot more imbalanced, and it feels like a lot of the heart of the first game in terms of giving every plant a unique identity while still here in some capacity. It also isn't in the case of certain plants like Cold Snapdragon, Grape Shot. A lot of plants you'll notice that came out later that seem to be direct upgrades of plants from the first game, or other plants even in their own same game. Mostly done just to monetize an upgrade of what came before, as previously covered in the power creep episode. So, when dealing with power creep and all of that, they decided to make plants that are basically the same as the previous plants, except they now cost money, and they now have basically the same ability but are completely broken and beyond repair. And now it just can't be saved or redeemed. Mostly due to how the game balances itself. But the plant designs themselves and how they function for a lot of the new plants that aren't direct upgrades of old plants are very fun. It's simply that the game did not know how to properly separate the old plants and the older new plants from the newer new plants that just are so much better than the old ones that it feels like there's no point to using the old ones because you're going to be hindering yourself. You're going to be doing absolutely no favors to yourself for doing more work instead of just using the better option. Like, for example, Primal Potato Mine and Potato Mine. Potato Mine already was one of the best plants in the game, even in Plants vs. Zombies 2. But then they come out with Primal Potato Mine, which for 25 Sun more has half the arming time and has a 3x3 radius. So why would you ever use Potato Mine again? There's no reason to. For only 25 Sun more, you have a better Cherry Bomb, which also outclasses Cherry Bomb. So with one plant, they effectively made two of them useless. You can kind of see where the problem was. Now with the zombie design, the zombie designs themselves and their abilities are not a problem in isolation. No zombie is too problematic by itself. The problem arises when these zombies are paired together. For example, Jester and Wizard. Jester requires you to use plants that don't have projectiles, while Wizard needs you to use plants that can fire from a long distance. As such, you're left with a minimum number of options as to what you can actually use. And when those options aren't available, well, you're not going to have a good time. And if you can't use those options for whatever reason, well, then kind of just sucks to be you, I guess. A perfect example is Lost City. The Lost City zombie design is generally fine, but the problems start with Excavator, which is the first problematic special, I would say, from Lost City. Because Excavator prevents you from using straight shots, it limits what you can do already. So you can either use area of effect plants or you can use lobbed plants, which, encourages the use of catapults, which at the time didn't really have a huge reason to be used over straight shots. So this was a good starting point. The problem comes in with Parasol Zombie, who blocks lobbed shots, all of them. And, of course, Excavator and Parasol don't take any damage from either, so it's not like you can brute force your way through like you could with, say, a Screen Door Zombie. No, you're stuck with having to specifically use a counter to both zombies. And since the zombies are often paired together, even sometimes in the same wave for the same level, you're going to have to use area of effect plants. And no other plants will work, basically, because they will be used often, so instants won't work as well, and they're very fast. So, not to mention, you can't exactly use Spikeweed either, because Excavator Zombie can dig it up. So it's just limiting design. Now, to end it off with the Powerups. Powerups are an accessibility option that is specifically designed to be inaccessible to a lot of people. At least Power Toss is. But it's also designed to be inaccessible from a design standpoint and a gameplay standpoint. See, the whole point of power-ups is to help you get through levels. But when you use a power-up, you don't feel good for using it. You feel like you cheated. Like you didn't earn the victory. So, what is the solution then? Just to not use power-ups? Well, that is a lot of people's solution. In-game, you can earn power-ups from pinata parties, at least you used to be able to, and you could earn them from endless zones, which rewarded you for going and doing these side things with something you could use to bypass hard levels, which I still don't necessarily agree with, but it was better than the system of just, well, you're stuck, you have a good time. So, it helped players who were stuck get by, but the problem with power-ups starts with you use coins for them if you don't have a freebie. If you could only use freebies, it would still be problematic, but at the very least you would have earned them. With using coins for power-ups, it instills this feeling that you didn't earn it, even if you did, even if you worked for those coins. Because it feels pay to win in nature. And that's a very important part. Just in your mind, you think, I didn't earn this. I'm spending whatever in order to bypass this thing. You feel like you didn't deserve the win, like you didn't earn the win. And, well, to some extent, you're kind of correct because you used power-up. But I think the larger problem with it is that it discourages usage of power-ups for a lot of casual players, and any experienced players would just not use them anyway, because they're, accessibility options. But then, why, if they're accessibility options, are they tied to a paid currency? So then they're a monetized way to bypass levels, which, of course, sounds ridiculously pay to win and not fun game design or good game design. So people fall back on calling them accessibility options. So power-ups fundamentally fail because of the paradoxical way they exist and are designed. Also, the inability to turn them off, to have them not down here in this little corner. Because always having them there, sometimes you misclick, but a lot of the times it just simply does not need to be there. The shovel is already like way down here for some reason, but the power-ups being right next to the shovel just encourages you every time you use that shovel to click one of those power-ups. And it feels not just like dangerous game design, but also fundamentally, I wouldn't say nefarious, I would just say misguided. So Powerups just, while I don't necessarily disagree with them as an addition in general, I think in the way they were added, it feels like they did not need to exist. So that'll be all for my discussion of the fundamentals of what I believe to be the errors in PvZ2's design. For the next few Cattail Talks videos, I won't be talking about PvZ2, mostly because I want to talk about a few other things, namely Halo and maybe some Kirby, other game series, but I will come back to PvZ2 and finish my thoughts on it one day. But until that day arrives, this has been Cattail. Thanks for watching. See you next time.